What's up, everybody? Thanks for hanging out here with us. It is the Awesemo Thursday Night Live show here for Yahoo. Of course, I'm gonna give you a mouthful of information about Yahoo and things that you should be aware of going into tonight's game. But, this is kicking off a new week in the NFL in style, Greg Ehrenberg. I am Adam Kaufman. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, the two-time defending AFC champs, and, of course, the Los Angeles Chargers, who are really well on their way to a playoff spot. And I think both these teams are. In fact, the Chargers can take over first place in the AFC West with a win tonight. So we'll see what ends up happening, obviously. These are two really good teams. Any chance that we will get really good football here on a Thursday night?
Hey, we're kind of on a hot streak. We've got one good primetime football game in a row. Let's extend the streak to two, which I believe would be the longest stretch of the season. But yeah, we had a good one the other day, and I think this one should be really good, at least on paper. We don't have these teams too banged up, which has been another issue for some of these Thursday night games. The only real key player right now that's listed as questionable, the injury report, is Austin Eckler, but all reports indicate that he's going to be good to play by tonight. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, he is expected to play, as you noted. So we'll talk about him, the other running backs, other guys. We'll go position by position, as we always do, in a hard-hitting 25 minutes or so that we have you here with us. But before we do all that and talk more about this matchup and all the key players and everything that is involved in this one, let me tell you about our good friends that we have partnered with at Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season. And I pray all hope above hope and everything else that our producer Tyler covers me up so you guys don't need to look at my stupid face while I tell you all this great information. We have great offers that are coming your way. All right, check out our exclusive limited time offer. Gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, very simple. You need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Just that simple. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest. We will reach out via email with your coupon if you need immediate access. That's okay. Email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you all set up. You can also receive up to a $100 first match deposit bonus with Yahoo as part of the 12 Days of Winning, featuring daily contests which guarantee a payout for everyone in the pool. Use the promo code. It is XMAS100. That is the letter X, MAS 100 with your first deposit to receive that $100 match deposit bonus and enter Yahoo's featured 12 Days of Winning contest right now. Make sure you use our DFS tools and projections, all the great stuff designed specifically for Yahoo that we talk and harp all on them every single one of these shows to give yourself the best shot at winning big. All All right, I can take a breath. We can move on here and now tell you what all those great tools can also tell you, because if you log in and use the tools, we're not hiding it from you. You just got to pay for it. What were you starting to say?
Oh, no, I was just reading that we had a question in the chat, but also I just get a kick out of you doing the ad reads, because I always try to condense it a little bit. I'm not I'm not the ad reader that you are. So I usually don't even have the entire ad in front of me, and I'm kind of improvising a little bit, but you go word for word, you do the whole thing. It takes up a third of the show, and I dig it.
I want every word that is in that copy to be there, because I've been on the other side. I've written copy. I deal with those ad sponsors in the past. I know what that's like. I know what those, I'm not saying this about Yahoo. Yahoo is wonderful and pleasant and all of that, but some companies are not. Some companies are, they're very, very particular about their ad reads. So I don't want to upset anybody. I want to give everyone the necessary information and promo codes and specials and deals and email addresses and everything else that they need to know. It's why I'm here. It's like you said it's a third of the show. It's like a third of the paycheck to do the ad read right.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. That's why you're a pro. And also, if they cared that much about the individual word for word ad read, they probably wouldn't have me on the show doing it for that particular ad read. So that's something to keep in mind.
We have you here for your expert analysis on all things related to what is going to happen on, in this case, the gridiron here tonight. So let's get into it here. These Chiefs, they're streaking 6 straight wins since a 3-4 start, when everybody was saying Patrick Mahomes sucks and this team is doomed and the Chiefs aren't going anywhere, and laughing at their cute little teeny dynasty where they won a Super Bowl and went to another, and they're crushed. Well, all of a sudden, obviously, the Chiefs are who we thought they were, and they're one of the top contenders in the AFC, as they should have been from the very beginning. One of those losses early, though, did come to the Chargers. It was a narrow one, 30-24, back on September 26th. In fact, the last 2 times that Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, 2 of the great young quarterbacks in the NFL, matched up, these 2 games have gone down to the wire. They've come down to the final minute. So overarching thoughts here before we get into all the players. Do you expect a similar type of game tonight?
Yeah, the Chargers have looked really good so far this year. And something else to consider also when you look at this game is it's the tight spread. We've only got the Chiefs favored by 3 points, and the winner really takes a strong grip on the division, because if the Chargers win, they would have the same record as the Chiefs, but they would also be 2-0 against them. So they would hold the tiebreaker advantage. If the Chiefs win, they kind of lock up the division. They would be 10-4, so 2 games up on the Chargers, also with only 3 games left to go in the regular season. So whoever wins today, I do expect will ultimately end up winning the AFC West. And once again, only 3-point spread. So it's going to be a competitive game in all likelihood.
Chargers have won their last couple, so obviously they are playing well also. And, you hit on this earlier off the top, the featured guys, the guys that we typically care about, the guys that we're going to mention as we go over all the different positions, they are all expected to be out there healthy. The NFL, not unlike the NHL and the NBA, dealing with a real rash of COVID cases right now. I think it was over the last, this week, over the last few days, it's already like almost 100 positive cases just in the NFL alone. So there are a lot of key guys when you start to look ahead to, Saturday games and Sunday games this week that are not going to play, that are really going to decimate your season-long teams if you're, playing Yahoo and you've got your playoffs already going on or starting this week or whatever it is. I know in our Awesemo league, for some of us, we've got playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks. Not a concern tonight, though. COVID has not yet, knock on wood, have any around here, has not yet hit this game. Hopefully it will not tonight, Greg. So let's go into the quarterbacks here. Patrick Mahomes, he is, of course, the projected high scorer on the slate, the little 1-game slate, 23 points. He is $36. Justin Herbert is 38. He is 21 points. So essentially, these guys are both, projected to have very similar nights. I think most lineups are going to feature both guys. In a lot of cases, you will have one of the quarterbacks be the one placed in the superstar spot, as well, as we'll get to a little bit later on in the show. But what's your outlook on both QBs? Are you wanting to, especially because this is a showdown, roster both guys?
Yeah, especially considering this game should be fairly high scoring. We've got the total set at 53.5, which is a lot higher than we've seen from a lot of games. I actually think 53.5, I believe that's a higher total than any individual game had all of last week. One thing that stands out about the quarterbacks, Justin Herbert with a higher salary than Patrick Mahomes, that's pretty crazy to me. $38 for Herbert, $36 for Mahomes. We have Mahomes projected higher of the two, much more likely to end up being the top scoring player in the game. So it's not to say that Justin Herbert should be, cheap or anything, but we should just have a bigger price tag on Patrick Mahomes. So I do look at him as overall the number one priority play on the slate.
Herbert, over his last couple of games at the Chargers, have won 6 touchdowns, the 1 interception. So he is certainly playing well. And I don't know. I guess part of me wonders whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Herbert. We talk about these guys just byproducts of 2 really potent offenses in general. How much of it is the QBs and their skill sets and their health versus all these great weapons that they have to work with?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I also think both teams are really well coached. Brandon Staley for the Chargers has introduced a totally different looking Chargers team. They've been competent in a lot of end of game situations, which we've seen from the Chargers, whether they're in Los Angeles, when they were back in San Diego for years. This was a team that would just collapse in close games. And this year it hasn't been quite that case, which I think we could say is better quarterback play for one. Although Philip Rivers is really good for a point of his career, but down the stretch, not as much. So better quarterback play and better coaching. I think that's really benefited the Chargers. Herbert looks like one of the better young quarterbacks in the league. So I'm not trying to disparage him by saying that Patrick Mahomes should be more expensive than him. That's just, he's Patrick Mahomes. He should be more expensive than pretty much everybody on any showdown slate. So as much as we can, I think we do want to prioritize getting Herbert and Mahomes into lineups, but Mahomes being a slightly higher priority.
Yeah, and I would think too, and I don't know that, look, I'm not one of the people that determines pricing, obviously, across all these different platforms where you're play these contests, believe it or not. But what I do wonder is, you look at the roster in general and you in terms of justifying price, I would think just common sense, right? I would think like, all right, I'm going to have Mahomes, not only because I think he's a better quarterback, but I'm going to have him priced just a little bit higher than Herbert based upon the way these offenses tick. I'm going to have him priced higher because he's got Kelsey, because he's got Hill. I'm going to have Herbert priced a little lower, not, disparaging, obviously, the likes of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, but Austin Eckler is just so important to that offense, more so than, say, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is to the Chiefs offense, that I'm going to balance it out that way a little bit differently. But let's go to the running backs and talk about these 2 guys. CEH, who was really, really good last week, had a couple of touchdowns, 11 projected points, not that many. He's just $19 though, so the price reflects expectations. Austin Eckler all the way up to $33, and he is projected for about 16 points. Again, dealing with the ankle injury, limited in practice, but the expectation is he's going to play. So what's your outlook?
Yeah, so starting with the Chiefs running back situation, it's really hard for me to rely on CEH just because the volume hasn't always been there. No, I know you said, hey, he scored 2 touchdowns last week. He also had 10 carries for 37 yards. So good on him. He found the end zone a couple of times, but it's not a massively efficient rushing game. And overall for the year, we've seen a lot of inefficiency from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he generally does not touch the ball a ton. Darrell Williams, on the other hand, has been a running back who's played a pretty prominent role in the passing game. So he saw, actually, I thought that he was a better fantasy producer when CEH was out. I thought Darrell Williams did a better job as the starting running back of the Chiefs than Clyde Edwards-Helaire did. So I look at both of these guys, and I know you didn't ask me about them directly, but I actually have a little bit more interest in Williams just because of his price point at $15. It appears that when I'm making lineups here, saving salary is pretty important to get up to all the stud skill position players that we have here. And with that in mind, the $19 price tag is pretty steep to play when we have $15 for Darrell Williams. And I think that it's kind of comparable outlooks for the 2 of them. We've got CH with a little bit better of upside here, but in general, it's going to be split carries.
Yeah, I hadn't asked you about it, but I was going to. So you read my mind. I think it's a pivotal question, obviously, when you're comparing those 2 guys and their fits, obviously, in the offense. And like you said, slightly higher projection on the part of CEH, but he's also $4 more. And if you're trying to make room, especially in a matchup like, it's not like this is the, I don't know, Giants and Jaguars that are matching up on a Thursday night. You have high expectation, high price guys, both sides of the ball, or both teams, I should say, just all over the map. There are all sorts of guys. Like it becomes a tough fade. And interestingly, this can certainly evolve. It can change by the time this game rolls around, a matter of hours. But in the optimal lineup built on Fantasy Cruncher right this moment, Austin Eckler's not part of it. Austin Eckler's not in that optimal build. So does that, not that singular note, but his injury, obviously, that has hampered him a little bit. Do you have reservations about playing him as compared to paying up for some other guys instead?
I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, as much as there are so many stars to play on the slate and the quarterbacks project much better than the other positions, that he just becomes a secondary option when you consider, hey, Eckler's $33, but Tyreek Hill is cheaper at $29. Travis Kelce's cheaper at $31. And then want to play the quarterbacks, and there's a pretty steep opportunity cost to rostering Austin Eckler. Patrick Mahomes was only $3 more expensive than Eckler. So I think with that in mind, he becomes a little bit less of a priority just in the lineups I built right now. He ends up in about a third of my lineups, which once again, that's not a bad thing. It's not like I'm not getting him in there, but I'm probably going to be underweight to the field on him just because I want to prioritize getting to Herbert. I want to prioritize getting to Mahomes. I want to play guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Salary's an issue. And we've seen games, like you mentioned, the Giants go play. Hey, salary's not an issue. All the players suck. Everybody's cheap on a lot of these Thursday night games. Not the case in this one.
So let's go to the receivers then. I actually want to start on the Chargers side of the ball because I just think the options are a little bit more appealing as things stand overall. You know, you've got Keenan Allen projected for 14 points, $26. Mike Williams, who is I don't know, reinvigorated. He's reemerged. He's there's more clout surrounding his name than maybe there was before recent weeks. $22, 12 projected points. How interested are you in getting one of, if not both, these guys in? What's your lineups based on or as compared to the field look like with the receiving side for the Chargers?
Yeah, so just because of the touchdown equity, Mike Williams has a little bit higher of a ceiling than Keenan Allen. And then also when you just consider points per dollar, where like you said, we've got Keenan Allen is $26 and Mike Williams is $22. Those $4 when I'm building lineups, pretty important. So I'm getting to a decent amount of more Mike Williams than Keenan Allen just because of that price difference. Projection-wise, we have Keenan Allen higher, but not crazy higher. And if you look at our simulations, we have Mike Williams with a 3.3% chance to be the top scorer on this slate compared to a 5.9% chance for Keenan Allen. So the $4 salary savings for Mike Williams, I think, is worth it for a little bit less of a mean projection. And then also Mike Williams, we've seen he has the big play ability. He's been really inconsistent this year, which is not something that we're unaccustomed to seeing from Mike Williams. But games at the start of the year, for instance, listen to this 3-game stretch: 7 catches for 122 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 catch for 11 yards, and then 8 catches for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. For a single game slate, for a single game slate, that's upside that I think we want to pay attention to. But, just be aware that it's a boom or bust option.
So I started with the Chargers just because I like that tandem better. No intended disrespect, obviously, to the Chiefs. I think Tyreek Hill is the superior receiver among the 3 overall. That's, by no means a hot take. But, when you put him at $29, 17 projected points, the guy that he's working with, because as we know, Travis Kelce is so impactful, but he's a tight end. It's, Byron Pringle, who is projected for 7 points. He is the flat minimum. He's $10. How are you looking at the Chiefs?
Yeah, so let's start with Tyreek Hill, who's my favorite skill position player in this game. We haven't projected pretty well. He has an 11.6% chance to be the top scorer in this game. Compare that to Austin Eckler, who's actually $4 more expensive than Tyreek Hill, and we have with an 8.6% chance to be the top scorer in the game. So when I'm looking at all these skill position players that are on the high end, Tyreek Hill $29, Eckler $33, Kelce $31, Keenan Allen $26. Of that tier of players, Tyreek Hill is my favorite.
As we move to tight ends here, and if anyone has any questions, get them in. I see some questions have come in that don't necessarily relate to this game, but there may be season-long playoff questions, or you're looking at the slate for the weekend. We can mix some of these in as we go along as well. And hit the subscribe button on the Awesemo YouTube page. We appreciate it. What I do think is interesting, so we talk about these receivers, the big 3, if you will. It's Tyreek Hill, it's Keenan Allen, it's Mike Williams. You go to tight end now and you have Travis Kelce, who is priced higher than any of them. He's $31. He has 13 projected points, which is less than Hill. It's less than Allen. It's in the same vicinity of Williams. Again, the price is higher. He's the only one of those 4 that's in the 30s. Jared Cook on the other side. Different kind of guy, different kind of play, obviously past his prime. He's $14 projected for about 7 points. If you're looking at those wideouts and then you're looking at Kelce, how are you evaluating who you are willing to pay for here?
So unfortunately, in the build I have right now, I'm finding it difficult to get to Travis Kelce. And a lot of it's his salary at $31 and just the projection where we have, for instance, Tyreek Hill projected way more likely to land the optimal lineup than Travis Kelce. And that's even if they were going to be the same line, the same price. Travis Kelce at $31 with a 3.7% chance to be the highest scorer in this game. Tyreek Hill at $29, 11.6% chance. So nearly 4x the odds on Tyreek Hill being the top scorer in the game compared to Travis Kelce. Then in terms of him being one of the next 5 highest scoring players, 49% for Tyreek Hill, 34% for Travis Kelce. I think I'm going to need those salary savings. And then once again, we have guys like Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler. They also both have better odds being the top scorer in this game than Travis Kelce. I don't hate Travis Kelce by any means. I know a lot of people kind of look at some stuff like how can you hate X player? I don't hate him. I just have to kind of look at our numbers, and there's so many good guys to pay up for on this slate. Mahomes, Herbert, Hill, Eckler, Allen. Can't roster all of them, and Travis Kelce looks like he's going to be one of the casualties of the salary cap.
He is, he and Austin Eckler both. Neither one of them are in the optimal build currently, and we can get to some of that a little bit later on, obviously, to decide who it is that you want to fit into your lineup, especially if you want both QBs, especially if you want one of them in the superstar spot. You can't have everybody, obviously. Going to the DSTs, though, Greg, so you got the Chiefs projected for about 6.5 points, $15. The Chargers, 5.5 points, $11. Now, maybe it's just a little bit of what have you done for me lately, especially looking at the matchups, obviously. And these are two teams, again, that have been streaking. Chiefs have been the hotter team between the two, but the Chargers over the last couple of games, 2 wins, 8 sacks, 6 takeaways. I like the Chargers DST. I guess let me qualify it with this. I don't want to play either one, but if I want exposure to either of them, because I'm with you, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I like the Chargers better. I do.
Just because of salary, if nothing else. And I totally agree. We don't want to be playing defenses in this game. Every once in a while, we see on these showdowns, like something fluky happens. There's a fumble return for a touchdown. There's a punt return for a touchdown. Outside of that, though, it's just not all that likely that one of these defenses ends up being optimal in a game with a 53.5 point total. The real thing I would say, if you have to roster one of these defenses, the Chargers are cheaper. But I don't like either of them. I think both of them are bad plays. If I had to roster one of them, I'm going to take the cheaper one. Chargers are $11. Chiefs are $15. The odds of the Chargers being one of the top 5 scoring fantasy options in this game happens 5% of the time. For the Chiefs, it happens 6% of the time. But the Chargers are $4 cheaper. Don't play either of them, but the Chiefs if you absolutely must.
Who are you looking to lock into your superstar spot as you, I don't know how many lineups you're building, obviously. And so that comes into consideration. Mahomes, I think, is going to be the most prevalent one. He's going to be the favorite, but who are you locking into the majority of your builds?
Yeah. So talking about some of the superstar options, the chalky option, the guy on the high end, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. We have him projected to land will end up as the highest score in this game, 36.5% of the time, by far the highest of anybody on the slate. Got him and Justin Herbert. The odds of one of them being the top scorer happens over 50% of the time. So the chalk play for cash games, Patrick Mahomes. Also, if you're playing a bunch of tournament lineups, he is the guy that I think makes the most sense to have exposure to there. But if we're looking at one of these skill position players now and starting to find out, Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, etc., who is the most likely skill position player to go off, that's where I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. We know about his speed. We know about his receiving upside. We've seen a whole bunch of ceiling games from Tyreek Hill in the past, and he's the guy that I do want to have as a superstar spot. If I'm looking to get away from the popular QBs, we do have a double-digit chance for Tyreek Hill to be the top scoring player in the game. Does that mean it happens all the time? No, but it probably happens more often than what the field is going to be playing him at. So I talked about it before about how if I could only roster one skill position player on the expensive end, it would be Tyreek Hill. And the same goes for the superstar spot here. If I'm getting away from the chalk and Mahomes and Justin Herbert, it's Tyreek Hill.
To make room in that lineup, obviously, for some of those more expensive guys, you need cheaper guys, as we noted. We've talked about some of them. There's Darrell Williams, obviously, at $15. You've got Byron Pringle at $10, Jared Cook, we didn't really talk about before, at $14. These are just some of the better, cheaper plays. Do you have a favorite value tonight?
Probably Byron Pringle, only $10. We do him with a 10% chance to be one of the top 5 scoring players in the game. We really do need salary savings somewhere on this slate. You just look at the overall context of it. There are 2 really good expensive quarterbacks. They're high priorities. There are a lot of really good skill position players. And then you just start to look like, okay, who's cheap that's actually going to play a big role? And there aren't that many guys. You talked about Jared Cook in passing before. He's $14, so he's certainly in play. Darrell Williams at $15. I don't know I'd want to play him in the same lineups as CEH, but he's somebody that makes sense. But still, $15 isn't quite enough salary savings when we're trying to get up to all the guys we want to. So I'll say Byron Pringle, $10, the minimum salary. There's also Mecole Hardman, who I think we can make a case for, where Hardman is also the min salary at $10. But of the two, I prefer Pringle.
So I just hope we get a good game tonight more than anything else. Obviously, we've hit on, all the key information. Let's mix in some of the questions from the chat. And I know that you've been multitasking and answering some of these in the chat as they've come in, but just to read them out loud for people that are just, listening, watching, but not reading along in the chat. Mr. Skywalker Live asking about a lineup for his season long, no PPR, CEH, of course, featured in this game, Aaron Jones or David Montgomery. Who do you like?
Jones. Also, I already answered these questions, by the way.
I know. I said that, but
okay,
just
all right.
For the sake of, again.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Want to know for their builds.
Yeah. So Aaron Jones. We do have one question though that's specific to Yahoo from Danny Roush, where he's asking how many of the cheap wide receivers will you be playing? And I talked about before that I like Pringle. Hardman, I think, is worth a flyer. I think people might want to roster guys like Guyton and Palmer just because both of them were good plays on Sunday for the afternoon slate. Both of them ended up scoring touchdowns. Guyton was on the field a whole bunch, but Keenan Allen was out. Keenan Allen's back today. That's going to really cut into the playing time of guys like Guyton and Palmer. So they are not the same plays that they were for that slate. So the guys that I do want to play for cheap, the number one priority is Pringle. Hardman also gets some consideration, but the Chargers guys not as much.
Danny adds he's over the field on both CEH and Darrell Williams. One last question from Tyler that you have not answered, which is, hi there. Thanks for the live show. We thank you for watching and listening. Should I start Parker or Claypool full PPR?
Probably Claypool. It also depends. That was Claypool.
Well, we got Waddle out, right?
Waddle is out, but I still find it kind of hard to trust the Dolphins' overall passing situation. Also, I haven't really looked at the games for this Sunday yet. So
yeah, no, it's a very early look here on a Thursday, obviously. So don't outside of this game here tonight, don't lock anything in yet. Want to tell you, there's a lot of great content coming your way on the Awesemo YouTube page over the course of this very busy day. There are a whole bunch more shows coming up in just a few minutes, 3:30 Eastern. You got the Jock Market NFL Thursday night and Sunday preview live show. It's Eitan and Eric coming your way. And then it'll be Eitan and Maddie LaMarca for the, live before lock pre-show. That's at 4:30 to 5 o'clock NBA Deeper Dive. Alex and Bearded Adam. Eric comes back with Greg as well. They'll both be back at 6 NBA Live Before Lock. 7:15 NFL Showdown Live Before Lock. That's Laffy, Alex, and Ben. Goes till 8:20. And then at 9:30, you can find me at the movies seeing the new Spider-Man. So that's what we have going on today. It's big. It's a lot happening today, Greg.
I like how you're plugging Spider-Man. That's But are you? I do like the Marvel movies, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, I don't know I'm going to have the time to see Spider-Man this weekend soon, though.
Got to make the time. At least avoid those spoilers if you don't. Go into your Twitter and just mute all those keywords or whatever and try and avoid that junk. Looking forward to it. Thanks to Tyler for, again, just making it all possible, just for being our biggest supporter here every single Thursday. And of course, Ehrenberg, who, like I said, is coming back with you a little bit later on today. I'm Adam Kaufman. I'll be back with you tomorrow with Eric. We'll dive into a look ahead to the weekend games Saturday and Sunday. Should be a lot of fun. Greg, enjoy, man. Love the t-shirt, by the way.
Hey, it's become a big ongoing thing on the YouTube channel now. Is the people like to see the graphic tees.
I love it. As long as that's just a graphic tee. See ya.